said cloud chamber. And lo and behold, there's about just less than a minute of that cloud chamber test on tape. I have it.
People have been so pissed at me over the years I can't find that tape, or they think I'm hiding it on purpose, but I've looked everywhere for it, and if you found it, that's awesome.
I did. Now here's the deal. In typical, Bob Lazar fashion, there's only about a minute of it. However, after all these years, 30 years, we have some footage of it, but it doesn't prove shit because it's recorded.
I was there the night that they did the cloud chamber test. I couldn't tell you what it was. I didn't know what a cloud chamber was. This beam of light was bent. And it was bent because they had element 115 in as part of the experiment. I said, well, that's pretty important. That would be huge to include in the story.
I spent time trying to understand why everybody was saying this 115 being stabilized is pseudoscience. So I called some of the top heavy element physicists on the planet, from Russia to up in San Francisco to Washington, D.C., and I spoke with, about 8 or 9, but 3 in particular who had really talked to me in depth about it. All of them, across the board, said you cannot rule out a stabilized version of element 115. In fact, that we believe, it is theorized, that it, in the island of stability, that it would and could and probably does exist. So their way of saying it is, we can't rule it out. So all these people saying that is pseudoscience, what Bob said about element 115, I wanted to find out, is it pseudoscience? And definitively, we cannot rule out a stabilized form of element 115. I'm sorry, it is not pseudoscience. And after doing this research, that argument no longer holds water.
Makes perfect sense that it could be stable, and scientists have said it for a long time. So of course you can't rule it out. Again, if you want to disbelieve Bob, if you want to cross him off the list and say he's a fraud, then your research goes 1 inch deep, and you say element 115, as he described it, can't exist, and then move on. If you want to be honest about it and dig further into it and understand it, then you're going to find out that, in fact, what Bob says does make sense. It can be true.
Element 115 was what we would call the fuel, what provided the power for the reactor to work.
What happens with gravity and 115?
Element 115 affects gravity. Element 115 produces its own gravitational energy. It had a very specific manufacturing technique. I don't really know how that information came to be. Its code name was LA 1000. That's what it was referred to off-site. Its purpose was supposed to be, again, this is just the code and deception, was supposed to be an advanced armor. So it's an unusual material, so now we can take it to a national lab. This is LA 1000 classified material. It's a very advanced armor. That takes care of all weird questions. So you immediately start operating on lies. This fuel is in the form of just a 3-dimensional thin triangle, little rounded edges. It's somewhat copper in color, that reddish brownish. The way this is manufactured is really critical. It's not just cut out of a heavy sheet of material. A cylinder of this material is taken. This is machined into a cone. So this is, the outer part is shaved off using a lathe or something like that until you have a 3-dimensional cone. Once you have the cone, it's sliced like this. And these slices become that. Now even this starting piece, the solid cylinder, is not even a solid cylinder. It consists of many discs
Wow.
stacked up And these are fused together to produce that. And all of these steps are necessary to produce a successful triangle that makes fuel. So actually, if you were to look at how this came to be, this would actually be pieces of all these discs that were cut at unusual angles. Now, apparently, if you don't do all this, that doesn't work. So, unfortunately, that's the extent of my knowledge on this. This makes no sense anywhere, but that's what it takes for it to operate. Now, with the alien technology that was present in the craft, it takes that basis, that extra gravitational energy, in a small reactor, amplifies it through the equipment there, directs it through the waveguides and archways into the emitters, and allows it to propel the craft and manipulate the gravity wave for whatever use they want.
How can this be true? I don't believe a word of this. Do you expect people to believe it?
No, I'm not going to change anyone's mind. That's not my intention. I'm just relaying the experience, the job that I went through. It is a fantastic thing. It's a fantastic